how did your time come to an end then?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And you're watching Tom Talks Rubbish.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks Rubbish, and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by Emilio Sparks from the Wrestle Rap podcast. That is a hard name to say.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult if you don't know it. Wrestle Rap, that's rough.
Mm-hmm. So,
How are you today, my friend? How you doing?
I'm all good, mate. Like, to peel the curtain back, we tried to do this a couple of months ago, but my internet just wasn't having any of it. So we're going to try again, sort of thing.
We're right here. We're doing it now. What better place and what better time?
Exactly. So if we take this back to the beginning, where does Emilio first discover wrestling?
I first discover wrestling that I can know physically, like pay attention and remember the exact time and date. It was a collection of matches that my grandmother sent me on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And two of the matches had SummerSlam, I want to say 89. It was Jimmy Superfly Snuka versus Ted DiBiase. And then the main event was Macho Man and Zeus versus Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why I say I remember those two is because those are the ones that in my memory of the first time. Like, I know I was watching it with my Uncle Michael, who is only 8 years my senior. And we were big Jake the Snake Roberts guys because of the snake and the DDT. And we would wrestle as kids on the carpet, and he would always DDT me. And I wonder if I have some brain trauma because of that, because we weren't faking it. And I remember he literally would just put me in the DDT and blast my head on the floor. But that is around the 80s was when I first started to really understand. Well, okay, I remember this. This is cool.
Do you remember what drew you in at that time? I can imagine it was the colorful characters.
Yeah, man, it definitely had to be. I don't think it was compelling storylines and promos at that point. You know what I'm saying? I think what drew me in was the pop and circumstance, the flash, guys like Ultimate Warrior with all the colorful tapestry and, Macho Man with the sequins and, just everything about it was special. It was it was brash. It was bright. It was the most loudest thing that I think up until that in my young point was something that took a hold of me. It was if you watch wrestling as a kid in the late 80s going into the early 90s, it's very loud.
Yeah.
Like extremely loud. And I don't think that you process it how we process wrestling now. I think as a kid, specifically back in that time, it was just all reactionary and it's just sensory overload.
Yeah. So you talked about processing wrestling differently as an adult. If you were to discover, say we had like a DeLorean and you were to discover 80s wrestling at the age you are now, would you like it as much or do you think maybe not so much?
Yeah, that's a good question. I probably would like it just as much because I think it is such a pivot from the presentation of what we see now. Mm-hmm. I don't think you could ever do 80s wrestling again. I think you can have similar matches with the psychology and that, that quote unquote WWE style that the internet loves
pantomime style was the way that I was told it was brought up to me today.
Yeah. But It was different. And I think that's what stuck out more was more characters. Again, it's crazy. I think, you also got to remember too, the 80s were a real interesting time, man. You had like He-Man, Thundercats,
Yeah.
like all those like, sensory overload cartoons as well. So everything in the 80s was bright, flashy, and loud. So I don't know, man. I think if I was to go back in time and watch it again in the 80s as an adult, I think I would probably be all in.
What if we flip the script? What if you were a kid now and you discovered, say, AEW or WWE? Would you be as invested? I hope that question made sense.
It does, which is why I'm taking a minute to think about it. That's a good question, Tom. I think if I was a kid now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would watch WWE because I think AEW is geared more towards adults.
Yeah.
But I think wrestling in general is geared towards adults outside of the world of WWE. But I think WWE caters, I want to say kids, because of just the merchandising and the figures and all of that stuff. But again, adults collect all this stuff too. I mean, I have a bigger collection myself. But I think if I was a kid now and I see it with my cousin's son, he watches it because his dad watches it. But now he's starting to, and he's
develop his own fandom.
Yeah, and he's 6 years old. So now it's like he knows how to work the remote control. He knows where to find wrestling. He knows how to operate the Peacock network to go watch WWE. So it's like, he loves guys like the New Day. New Day's very kid friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just recently, Big E was on a Nickelodeon television series. You know what I mean? He had a guest cameo. So yeah, Sasha Banks. John Cena. I mean, come on, Kids' Choice Awards and some kid-friendly movies before.
Was that the thing where he got gunged?
Yes, where he got splashed with the ooze, or the slime, yeah. So I think and WWE has all that. I think it's just more pop and circumstance for the kids because they know what sells and what attracts the kid. Yeah. And they've always done a brilliant job of that, and I think as you get older, maybe your taste change, mm-hmm. and it maybe an AEW will satiate your palate a little bit more. I don't know, but I just know that, speaking to watching a couple of my friends' kids and speaking with my cousin about his son, they gravitate more towards WWE because of the type of child-friendly presentation in which it does have. Again, we talked about being very loud, very, very in your face, very, very colorful. WWE has a lot of that, even just if you look at it from a technical aesthetic standpoint, like WrestleMania looked pretty. It was bright. Yeah. It was bright colors. There was fireworks. There was big graphic displays on the screen, So if I was a kid, I would probably gravitate towards that. Really long answer. If I was a kid, yeah.
It's a perfect clip from my new clips channel, so I appreciate that.
Oh, cool, man. Good. Make that YouTube money, kid.
Exactly. So, as I say, but what about now? What is like your consumption of wrestling now? Either for work or what is the shows that you maybe have to watch for work or like as part of the wrestling media? And then what show would you be watching if you weren't a part of the wrestling media?
I mean, I watch it all, or I try to watch it all, I mean, work and personal have now, bled over and intertwined. So it's, whatever. I think I watch more wrestling than I watch actual television and or Netflix or whatever, streaming service has insert favorite series here to binge watch. Watch a ton of WWE. I think I like SmackDown more than Raw, but I think Raw has some compelling stuff. Big shout outs to Cody Rhodes and big shout outs to Seth Rollins for really carrying Raw the last like couple of weeks after WrestleMania. I think what Roman's doing is fantastic on SmackDown. And I'm sorry if you heard the car drive by, but I'm literally outside.
It's
I
all
was running
good.
errands all day. Because there is a time difference. I love MLW. I think that locker room has a lot of hungry performers, and the television, and not because I worked on MLW in spurts on their television, but it's really good storytelling, really interesting wrestling. I love the stuff, the writing with Cesar Duran and what they do with Aztec Underground, and just how they shoot it as this wild phonetic pace, you know, where it's extremely unpredictable at times. I think AEW is so in the pocket right now. I enjoy AEW so much. I think like what they have done with Wardlow.
That's my favorite thing currently.
I think it's brilliant in the fact that, and I'll say him and Jade are maybe the first two real students of AEW where they came up through that. Because everybody has a system now, right, Tom? If you notice, everybody's got a system. So like WWE has a system, MLW has a system, even GCW has a system. You know, like everybody has a system where they got to come up. You know, so it's like, but you see Wardlow and Jade, and you know, slow builds done right, just the right amount of TV time, with the right feuds, the right matches, everything adds up. And to see what MJF and Wardlow are doing now really excites me, and I really love watching it. I think GCW is fantastic. They run shows very often, and they're always on Fight TV. And what I like about GCW is sometimes they do storylines. I think Nick Gage and Ricky Shane Page was an interesting storyline. It was a really good one a couple of years ago. I think what they did with Matt Cardona and Effie, and Matt Cardona and Nick Gage, very, very cool, man. I think the way they tell their stories is insulated for their fandom. But if you watch random clips or just what the wrestlers do on their social media accounts, draws you in.
Yeah.
I think Impact Wrestling is really good. You know, I love their Knockouts division. Very happy to see Tasha Steelz as the Knockouts champion. I think the storyline with Chelsea and Mickey James is very cool to see. I think what Moose and Josh Alexander are doing are very, very cool. I love the tag team turmoil with Violent by Design and 8 other teams leading into Rebellion this weekend. And the Good Brothers is one of them. You know, you gotta represent who you are.
That is a beautiful shirt, by the way.
Thank you, man. It's a Gallows and Anderson original. I think you can get it on collar and elbow. I don't know. I work for them, so I get a ton of Good Brothers t-shirts.
We will get to that in a sec, if that's all okay.
That's fine, man. It's fine. I'm with you as long as you need me to be.
So, one thing I am curious to know, you talked about working for MLW.
Yeah.
And so what is it that you do for them on what you call a sporadic appearance sort of thing?
I have done almost 10 months of television for them as a on-camera host. Kind of like the way it was pitched and the way I conceived the whole thing was, you ever see TMZ and how sometimes, or like a tabloid journalist, quote unquote, that run up to a celebrity and then bombard them with a question that they might be uncomfortable asking? That is what they wanted. And when Alicia became a on-screen heel manager for Most Marketable Richard Holiday, and that storyline with Hammerstone and Holiday,
beautiful,
so good, man. I'll get back to what I do there, but even the tag team stuff with EJ and Duca and Calvin Tankman and what Danny Limelight has done with 5150 and promos, it's top notch, man.
Yeah.
So it's fun to work with these guys. I think the title that people don't pay the most attention to there, and they should, is the National Openweight Championship with defending reigning champion Alex Kane,
Mhm.
and led by his heater, Mr. Thomas, is so good, man. It's really enjoyable to watch, but not only that, it's enjoyable to work with these guys. And so I was doing the on-camera stuff, but then I always wanted to produce wrestling segments. Like I love producing, right? As I'm a producer by trade, I did it for the WWE. I do it now for myself. I consult on other podcasts. So the production bug is the thing that I love the most, really
Yeah.
peeling back the curtain, really pulling things out of the character, you know what I mean? Helping evolve the gimmicks and whatever they may be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So doing things of like that. So not only do I get to be an on-camera talent, but then I also get to produce certain segments. So
Yeah.
I get to do a little bit of everything there, honestly. And it's a great place to learn the craft of professional wrestling. And, you know, Court Bauer is very cool, very, very smart. One of the writers, Alex Greenfield, really, really dope. Just to watch guys like Jared St. Laurent even, you know, produce backstage vignettes. It's just cool, man, to see how what other areas and who has their own esoteric methodologies about producing professional wrestling. Biff Lawson's another one to sit back and watch there as a producer. Um, it's fun, man. It's fun. And then you get to, you know, they give us a bullet point. We follow the bullet points, but it's pretty much they're giving us the creative freedoms
Yeah.
to go anywhere with it. And that's one of the fun things I think in wrestling in general, is being able to create the narrative in which you have to speak upon. You know what I mean? Like, just hit these bullet points and take it wherever you want to take it.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic happens, because you see a guy like EJ and Duca, who's only been doing this maybe 21 months, right? Super, super, you know, new into the wrestling game. But to watch him over the last year really evolve what the judge is becoming and what you see now, and how he's even like cutting his promos, it's cool to see, man. And I'm really thankful that, you know, that locker room allows me to be a part of that vision, and for them to trust that vision with me. So I think that's really, really dope. So that's what I do there. A little bit of on-camera hosting as like that, you know, slimy TMZ kind of thing, which is fun to do. And
So
doing some
who
really
pitched?
cool on camera.
So who pitched you coming into MLW? Did you reach out to them, or was it sort of a we've seen your work sort of deal? Would you like to work with us?
I was a guest panelist on a special that they did for Vice, which was called MLW Embedded. And they were talking about the ins and outs in the world of professional wrestling. And big shout outs to Court, and big shout outs to Andrew Goldstein. And I guess they liked the energy and they liked the presentation, that they pulled me aside and was like, hey, we want to try you out in some tapings in Philadelphia. Would you want to come? And I was like, 2300 Arena? And they were like, yeah. Now, 2300 Arena was always on a bucket list thing, like, you know, to work. So I was like, absolutely, let's do it. And I guess I just took to like a fish to water for their system and their locker room, and just hanging out, because I've been working it sporadically ever since. And it's cool. It's really cool.
You clearly are very passionate about working for MLW. But if
I believe in it.
And you clearly believe in it. But if you stopped believing in it, stopped enjoying their product, would you have to walk away?
Would I have to? I mean, I'm the type of guy that, with anything in life, if the passion isn't there, what's the point of even staying with it? You know, Tom, we age out of things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I work 10 years at Sirius XM, and you know, I loved it, but I craved more. I wanted more responsibilities. I wanted new challenges. I wanted to be able to run more programming. You know what I mean? I wanted to create more programming. And, you know, when you start to, you know, realize, okay, I've reached my ceiling here, you know, you walk away. Or even if you like out of a relationship, if you're just not happy, you know, dating your significant other, have the conversation with them and say, I think it's time to go. You know, I think that's with everything, you know?
No.
So yeah, if I wasn't as vested anymore and the love wasn't there, yeah, I would probably, yeah, because, you know, like you can't fake the funk, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's one of the things, like I can never fake anything that I do. So if I'm not happy doing it, I won't do it.
Sorry if I put you on the spot on that question, by the way.
No. It's okay, man. Like even when I worked at WWE, I just knew my time there was excellent. It was an incredible learning experience, but I knew when my time was up.
So getting into your time in WWE, how, first of all, did you start working there?
I was doing, obviously, Wrestle Rap. You know, it's a very cool thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are blessed to have certain friends that want to come on your podcast, you know, the ears perk up and the eyes are on you.
Yeah.
And so from what I found out, some office individuals were listening to the podcast and they like what they heard. They like what they saw. They like the presentation. I'm really technical as an editor. I think everything has to sound good.
Yeah.
Everything has to look good. It has to, you know, even if it's done with a $3 microphone, if you have really good post-production methods, anything can come together. Most of all, it was like, I guess they just heard it. They were conceptualizing the WWE podcasting network, and they wanted to bring me in as one of the individuals to help build and create that.
Okay.
I was one of two other people.
What year is this, man?
I want to say late 2018 going into 2019.
Okay. Just so I've got my timeline. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. And everything moves so quick because of, like, you know, the pandemic and just life. Everything has moved rather quickly. And I had a really cool meeting with two really cool dudes, you know, two former EVPs with the company, and they saw the vision and they pitched to me what they wanted me to do. And I was gung ho. I was like, let's do it. It's all about, you know, doing the next. And WWE was a place that I always wanted to work, and I wanted to develop something that I knew a lot about. And you know, I've been working in radio professionally since I'm 18 years old. So doing that it's the only thing that I know, or I know really, really well. So I wanted to work there, and I wanted to try it out, and I wanted to help them develop the podcasting network. And it was fun. It was off to the races immediately. Day one, I got handed my laptop, a company phone, and let's go. Like, you know, orientation was at 7, 9:15, first meeting.
Is it true what they say about you run on Vince McMahon time there? Like, do you know what I mean when I say that?
I think it's a culture that is created, that it's a business, and the business model is through the tools of one person, and you must learn those business practices, and you must hold them to the high regard as he holds it to a high regard. Which is something I find really, really dope, because I take my job very, very seriously, and I'm a workaholic. So I'm all for, if the boss is going to do a 23-hour day, I'll work a 23-hour day.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that type of stuff. So the energy was always great there. the people that were hired and put in place to run, that machine. Very, very smart, very, very hardworking, and they get it. They get it. So yeah, like the office culture there is, let's get creative, let's get it cracking, and let's work to the best of our abilities with an untapped amount of unlimited resources.
Okay. So how did your time come to an end then?
It was just time, man. It was just time. I got, like the pandemic and everything. It was just time to go. That was it.
How do I phrase this? Did you leave of your own accord, or?
Yes. Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't have the best of luck on your future endeavor talk.
Okay. So then what comes next? Because I imagine it was the sessions with Renee that came next.
No. After I helped launch, wait, let that car pass. After I helped launch and create New Day and After the Bell, my consulting business, because I was doing both on the side. My consulting business was starting to pick up a little bit. And the first call that came was Rocky Romero.
Oh, okay.
And Rocky was like, hey, I heard you're not there no more. We have this idea. We want to resurrect Talking Shop. Could you listen to it, edit it, and tell us what you think? And I was like, absolutely. And that was the call that changed my life.
Okay.
Because I kind of was tired and burnt out from doing what I was doing. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, do I want to do this anymore? And I think once we all get to a level of burning the candle at both ends and really trying to, outbest yourself, because you're only in competition with yourself.
Definitely.
So I was like, okay, let me assess the situation and see if this is something that I wanted to do anymore, producing podcasts and whatever. I went
Did
through
you
a
have
bad
a
break.
plan if it wasn't?
No, I did not. And I went through a bad breakup, so I was stressing about that. And I was just done, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was over life at that point. I was just like,
it strikes me as if someone had offered you a private island, you would have taken it.
absolutely. My own little private Idaho, absolutely. So Rocky gives me that call. I get the episode. I listen to it. I edit it. I make a couple of, corrections or changes. I don't want to say corrections. I make a couple of changes in what I think it can flow and how it can sound.
Post-production.
And then he loved it. And then I had a conversation with Machine Gun and LG, and all three of them said, we want to bring you on. How would you feel about that? And I was like, absolutely, let's go to work. Mm-hmm. I just love their energy, and it's funny how life works, because in WWE, when we were trying to launch the podcasting network, they were slated to have a podcast on the WWE podcasting network. For whatever reason, it just never came to be. And now it was like, so whatever little ideas I had written down already, I was able to bring those to life with them on their own thing.
Do you think if it had been a WWE creation, it would have worked out as well as it has? Or do you think it might have been... I can't think how to finish that sentence, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean. Like, I think the content would be completely different, but I think the magic and the talent of Rocky. Well, first off, if they did it in WWE, I don't know if Rocky would have been able to do it.
I doubt it, because he's not under contract.
And Rocky is an important factor. So I don't think it would work that way, because I think you need Rocky Romero. I know I need Rocky Romero.
Yeah.
Just because I love working with Rocky. But if it was just going to be, and if they did not, if we're just speaking in hypotheticals, and they weren't released from WWE, and I was still there, and we all agreed on doing the podcast, I think it would be different, but I think they would have told the stories differently.
Yeah.
I think you get more context when it's uncensored and a bit raw.
Yeah.
With them now.
Whereas with WWE, it might have been a bit too polished.
I just think you wouldn't get the wild CBD, rants, or having a couple of glasses of the blood in the system and some claws or some beer or whatever. I think it would be a completely different dynamic. I think them being as cool and as respected in the locker rooms as they are, I think they would have probably done more sit-down interview style stuff.
Yeah.
And talked about their experiences on the road in Japan, because everybody has crossed paths in professional wrestling. So everybody's interconnected. So I think the conversations would have been just toned down. That's all.
Okay. So then how do you connect with Renee and start doing the sessions with her?
She was a homie of mine when I got to WWE. Biggie introduced us.
Okay.
And she was one of the people that I pitched from jump.
A podcast, okay?
Yeah. Because I don't want to get too long-winded about this. Because, again, she's another special person in my heart. But I'll say it like this. I'm at TV one Friday. I finished what I was filming with The New Day. I edited. I'm done. My work day's done by like 5. Right? Now I get to just walk around and experience, television back there. And I see her work. And I'm blown away. Now, there's a difference in watching her work on television and seeing it live.
Okay.
She has a ton of personality. She's extremely charismatic. She's very, very funny. She's very, very sharp. Like really good improvisational skills. So when her and I started to strike up a conversation in catering, once E introduced us, we talked about, a podcast. We talked about some ideas and what she wanted to do and where she wanted to go with it. And, it was on the docket to get done. And it just never happened, And just for whatever reason, it just never happened. I don't know the answer. I can't tell you why. But once I left, I sent her just a text message, just thanking her for her time there, for her friendship, and just being like, just very, very sweet to a guy who was literally brand new there. And
she strikes me as the sweetest person.
She's amazing, dude. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's an angel, Canadian angel. And we kept in touch. And when she left and she made it public that she was leaving, I sent her another text message and I'm like, ready when you are. The next day she hit me and she's like, let's do it. And that's the birth of the sessions, man.
So what, out of all of the podcasts that you're currently involved in, which you may have to list them because my memory does not work very well, which one is it that you're like, this is the one I look forward to recording the most, this is the one that like I'm most proud of, etc.?
All of them I'm most proud of, because you got to remember, we started from a baseline of 0. Like and to create, different fandoms, but creating content for the world of professional wrestling in 2 different scopes is mind blowing. So I think both are equally challenging. I think both are equally satisfying. I don't know if I have a favorite, because I love genuinely working on both shows, and both shows are different. I know with Renee, I really had to learn YouTube and navigate through that world because we decided to start the YouTube channel. And so that was fun. It's been an incredible learning experience for both. With Gallows and Anderson, I had to learn video editing,
Yeah.
and start to understand vlogging culture. You know, I always knew it existed and I watched certain vlogs, but I was like, oh, this is cool. But to see the style in which YouTube vloggers do their stuff, I had to learn that landscape. So that's been fun. I like a challenge. And like I said, starting from a baseline of 0, you have nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
And when you work with hungry individuals that want to succeed, it inspires me to run through a brick wall for them. So I can't say that I favor one over the other, because I'm equally grateful for the opportunities to work with both the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero and Renee Paquette. So I will say that I love doing both because I do. That's not a political answer. That's just an answer because I genuinely look forward to editing. With Gallows and Anderson, you will pee your pants editing a podcast. Same thing goes for Renee. And you know, Renee has this gift where she pulls out the most transparent and organic stuff from an interview. You know, like we recently just had on Big Swole, and Big Swole talked about complications with Crohn's disease. Or we had on Dax Harwood from FTR, and he talked about body dysmorphia. And we had on Cash Wheeler from FTR, and he talked about, you know, growing up and pretty much being on his own from 16 years old, you know? Yeah. Or just having fun conversations and watching her and her husband, Renee John, podcast, or even her and I get real silly and talk about pop culture and movies and clothing and whatever, you know? Yeah. So it's like, it's all encompassing, and it makes me really feel grateful that I am allowed to do what I do. And plus, Tom, I'm able to do it from home, but I'm also still blessed that I'm able to travel the United States and work in certain locker rooms and record podcasts on location, not just remotely. So it's like, how can you favor one over the other when both opportunities have opened up so many doors to not only see the world, but to really start to value and understand myself as a producer, and just growing as a man, and knowing what is out there more than just the area in which I grew up in. Mm-hmm. So I'm blessed to work for both, and I love both equally. So.
Fair enough, man. You talked about growing up there. What would young Emilio think of what you're doing for a living now?
I think young Emilio would think, nah, you can do this as a career. It wasn't that I was sheltered growing up. Yeah. I grew up in a very strict household where it was like the normalcy of 9 to 5, get a job with a pension or benefits was always instructed with us. My father was a union construction worker for almost 40 years. So I learned my work ethic watching my father get up every day at 4:30 in the morning and get ready to go to work, and then be on a jackhammer or digging ditches or whatever job he was on, that whatever task he had to do by 6 a.m. And then he would come home tired, but still be a part of his children's lives. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to be a construction worker, you know, like
Yeah.
but I respected it in the fact that it gave me the world that which I have now.
Yeah, I get you.
So to see that, and like I live in Staten Island, so it's like it's either you work for the city, whether it's like a city job or, you know, you work manual labor, like I don't know, like, you know, and then everybody marries their high school sweetheart or somebody that they know what they know because they seen them at the pubs. And I just knew that I needed more because I was starting to experience a lot more, you know.
I get you.
Somebody who opened up my eyes to the world is the recording artist Wale.
Okay.
And Wale made me realize that there's a bigger world than just the area in which you're born and then you're going to stay there forever, you know. Hank Moody from the TV show Californication always had this saying early on, the first early seasons: I never wanted to live and die within 5 or 10 miles of where I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got to experience certain things with a guy like Wale, you know, taking me on across the country and traveling real late in life, because I didn't do that. And really seeing, you know, how beautiful the United States is, and just interacting with just so many different walks of life, you know.
Yeah.
And then traveling for WWE and living out of a suitcase, I thought that was an incredible experience. And doing what I'm doing now with Renee and the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero, and being able to still travel and you know, hit different areas in the United States again, in parts of the world, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So I think he would be blown away at the fact that little Emilio would know, like, well, wait a minute, there's more out there than just the little world in which your family is created, and that's it, you know. So I think it would be like, and you get to do it with wrestling? What? That's cool.
Yeah, I get you.
I think you would like it.
Okay. So a question that I do have is, like, as a producer, when you're asked to sorry, let me rephrase that. Was being on camera something you had a desire to do, or was it like, no, I'm not comfortable with that?
In my early 20s, you couldn't get me off the camera, right? If I was interviewing rappers or wrestlers in my early 20s, I wanted to be on TV.
Yeah.
But I also knew that it was extremely difficult to break into in that aspect. And then my love for behind the scenes really started to take over. And it's funny because I recently had a conversation with Absolute Ricky Starks on my podcast. Yeah. And we were talking about manifestations and what you wanted. And I said to him, I have no problems being a supporting character. Like, if you're a fan of The Simpsons, I have no problems with being a Bumblebee man.
Yeah, I get you.
You know, or Dr. Nick, you know, where I can get my lines in and it's memorable and people enjoy it and I don't overstay my welcome, and I'm in and I'm out. As I've gotten older, I've become more cognizant of the responsibility of being on camera and knowing that, like, every take should count. But that comes from me just taking like some improv classes and little acting classes to really like understand like the subtle nuance of professional wrestling from the performance art aspect. Do I prefer, would I love to be like an on-camera person? Yeah, I think it would be cool. But if it never happens, not by my own hand, I make a real cool living using my brain and helping others get to the next level that they want to. So I'm good. I'm happy. I don't know.
Something you brought up earlier was the fact that you'd really become burnt out by podcasting and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. After you left WWE, or was this before?
I got better at my craft once I left.
No. What I mean is you became sort of like you'd had enough, you said, at one point in your career.
Oh yeah, I was burnt out, man. It was just I was doing a lot. I was still at for a small brief period of time. I was traveling with WWE. I was going to the Connecticut office. I was editing their podcast. I was still working at Sirius XM 2 days a week because I didn't want to leave that place because I love the people that I was working for. I love my DJs. I love my hip hop music. And I was teaching a podcasting and literacy after school program
Yeah.
at a local high school. So I was doing a lot, and I was also trying to be,
A human.
super son. I was also trying to be super son, and I was also trying to be, I was also trying to be a really good, boyfriend.
Yeah, I get it.
And I guess I just did too much. I took on too much. I thought I was invincible, and I got really burnt out, and I got really, really tired.
So the general gist of what I was going to ask was, have you put anything in place now to stop the burnout?
Yes, I know my limits. I know when to stop working for the day. One of the blessings working for yourself. Sorry, but one of the blessings working for yourself is I'm going to take a couple days off. I'm going to do it. I don't have to answer to nobody.
Yeah.
So I do that. I love working out, and the gym is a sanctuary of mine. Yoga, meditation as well, journaling, breath work. I do have my esoteric practices that help me not burn out, because I didn't have those before, man. It was really it was a lot. I was juggling a lot, and therapy helps too. I will openly say that I do go to a therapist, and it helps. It
Wow.
really does help. So because I think a mental health professional gives you the tools and makes you realize the internal work that you're doing. They just bring it to the surface. So if you're out there and you're just talking to somebody, sometimes you throw enough shit on the wall, it's gonna stick, and then you get that epiphany moment. You get that eureka moment. So yeah. So now I know, like, take a breather, boss. It's all right.
With that taking a breather, though, do you sometimes have to stop yourself from feeling guilty for not working because you work for yourself? Because I know I do.
Tom, absolutely. Oh my God. I was having this conversation with my dad, right? Because we were catching up. I haven't seen my dad in a while. So, like, I was hanging out with him. And I asked him that. I was like, Dad, you had a side hustle for a little while on top of doing construction. Did you ever feel at points you weren't doing enough, or that you needed to do more, and with your downtime you felt guilty for not doing anything? And my dad said something incredibly cool. He goes, when the body knows it had enough, it has enough. So you have to listen to your body. Sometimes ego gets in the way and wants to guilt you into thinking you don't do enough, because you might see your contemporaries present themselves on social media as they're doing everything and anything. So you should be doing anything and everything. And once he told me that, I started to be less critical of my days off and really start to enjoy them and come back renewed and refreshed and looking forward to the week's tasks at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I get you. So I think if you could put down the phone and not look at social media or see what people are doing within your circle, in which what you do as a presenter in the YouTube space, and take like a day or two for yourself and go on holiday, you really come back recharged and ready to go.
Let's just say that the May cannot come around quick enough because I am off to Spain for a few days.
Very cool, man. See, like, I wish that I lived in the UK because it is quicker to get to places that I want to get to. Like, I want to go to Spain. I would love to go to Italy, Paris, you know.
To
like
Paris. It's amazing.
Nice. I heard Nice is beautiful.
Randomly,
You know,
we really got off on a random tangent there, and I do apologize.
Hey, man, it's cool. But yeah, man, I'm now looking forward to your adventures in Spain. So I hope you share them when you come back.
I can't wait, mate. It's literally 4 days where I plan to be on the beach doing sod all.
I love it, man. Just eat good food, have a couple of drinks in your system, and just enjoy the sand.
So,
water.
yeah. So as we wrap this up, because I do want to be respectful of your time, we're going to do a segment that I call generic questions, which is where I'll ask you questions that you probably get asked on social media all the time, like your favorite match of all time, your favorite pay-per-view, your favorite wrestler, your favorite theme song, and your favorite tag team. But now you can have a place to be like, look, I've answered this, go watch this. So what's your favorite match of all time, Emilio?
Oof, that's rough because I watch so much and I love so much. Favorite match of all time. I will say favorite match of all time. And I watched it on repeat when one of my best friends passed away, because we would watch it constantly. And I think it has more of a value.
Sentimental by the sound of it.
Right. And I remember him. The retirement match at WrestleMania 7 between Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh.
I think of my buddy Joe.
Favorite, that's a beautiful story, by the way, man. Favorite pay-per-view of all time. And this can be split up into pay-per-views you've been at live and pay-per-views that you watched on your couch.
Okay, favorite pay-per-view that I've been to live that I got to work, because it was on, I forget if it was on Fight or IWTV, was Run Ricky Run GCW. I got to call that.
That was on Fight, by the way.
Incredible. Just that whole pay-per-view was so sweet. And the fact that I got to call it was even sweeter. And big shout outs to Brett Lauderdale, John Carlo, Joey Janela, Dickinson, Jimmy Lloyd, and OG Kevin Gill. And Brett, if I didn't say Brett Lauderdale, big shouts to Brett Lauderdale and Kevin Gill. I think another one that I got to go to favorite pay-per-view was WrestleMania 31.
Ooh.
Because I was with my boys and it was Wale and Kaz, and we got to hang out and really, like, we just did the first Wale Mania and we were like, yeah, man, this is like, we had a good feeling about that. And we saw, Rollins sell that incredible RKO, and then we cash in at night. We were there. Roman walking through the crowd. Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental Championship in that ladder match. Moxley taking that really nasty bump on the ladder.
Is that the one where he gets powerbombed out the ring?
Yeah. So I seen that. What else? I've been to so many, man. Like, I've lost count at this point how many I've been to.
Rub it in, why don't you?
But again, blessed to be in certain buildings.
Yeah.
Bound for Glory, I was there. I thought that was great. I think when Moose, walked in and took that title from Josh Alexander, you had this big payoff moment where the crowd was all into Josh, and then Moose comes in and and just decimates him in front of his wife and son.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wins the championship. It's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch. All the Brooklyn takeovers, really freaking sweet to be at.
I was gonna guess you were at some of the Brooklyn shows.
You know, watching Enzo and Kaz do what they do was really, really fun. You know, singing Frank Sinatra as they're walking down in the Barclays Center. It's a moment.
I have not seen that. I'm gonna have to look that up after we finish this.
Look it up, man, because it's a moment. It was a moment. You know, I've been to a ton of AEW stuff as well. I got to see Omega and Danielson wrestle at Arthur Ashe in Queens.
Love that. I love that match so much.
You know, I caught a lot of wreck on social media because I said it was probably the greatest professional wrestling match that I've seen of this generation.
It's up there.
I think it is because of the story that it told within the world of AEW.
Personally, I prefer Hangman Danielson, but that's just my tastes.
No, listen, I think all of I think their main event picture is really icy. So like you're gonna get a banger from anybody. I think Hangman Page is so good, and what him and Adam Cole have been doing has been really, really slick. Not a lot of people talk about how good Hangman's title run has been. It's been really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen that. You know, I got to see some ECW pay-per-views as a kid as well. I was in the building for some of those. To get to experience the Sandman's entrance live is probably something that I will not forget for my entire life.
That sounds dope, because I imagine he came out to Metallica as well.
Yeah, man. Enter Sandman was the incredible. Man, just being at the Hammerstein Ballroom, sold out, and then you hear the opening, and you're looking for him. And then he comes out of your section, and he's covered in beer already. And I took photos. I should send you them. I took photos from this event.
Please.
And it was so dope. It was so dope. And the fact that they even gave me like access to take photos, it was just like, yeah, kid, do whatever you got to do.
Was that because of how lax not WCW, ECW was, do you reckon?
Oh yeah. So they were like, you seem harmless, because I didn't have this facial hair when I was like 14 years old. I look like I was 10.
Fair enough.
So, you know, I come up, hi, can I take pictures? You know, I got like the school camera, like, go ahead. I'm like, yay, all right.
So, because there's so many to list, should we move on to your favorite superstar of all time? Or wrestler
favorite superstar? Favorite superstar of all time? Wow, tough. I would say that I have a cluster of a few. Now, are you saying WWE superstar? Or are you just saying
overall wrestler? Overall wrestler.
Overall wrestler. Wow, Tom. Oof, that's rough. That is really rough.
I think people get confused because I say superstar. I mean overall wrestler. I'm just so used to WWE speak. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay, I'll say favorite. I'm gonna break it down. Favorite indie wrestler, Effie. Favorite New Japan superstar, Tetsuya Naito. Favorite WWE superstar, Randy Orton and Big E. Favorite AEW guy, I will say MJF and Ricky Starks. Favorite MLW guys, I'm gonna say EJ and Duca. I'm gonna say Richard Holiday, Danny Limelight, and Hammerstein. Favorite GCW guys outside of Nick Gage, Chris Dickinson, Janela. And let's see, favorite Impact guys outside of Gallows and Anderson, obviously.
Yeah.
I want to say Deonna Purrazzo, and I will say Eddie Edwards.
Brilliant. Favorite tag team of all time?
Steiner Brothers.
That was quick. Why?
Greatest tag team in the world.
Okay. Favorite theme song of all time?
Ahmed Johnson's.
Okay.
Or Razor Ramon's.
Razor Ramon's dope. And then the question that I end all my videos on, Emilio, I don't know if you've seen my content before, but with YouTube, with podcasting, with social media in general, we're all sort of going to live forever in some sort of way. So what is one video that you're like, or podcast in your case, don't go back and listen to that. I've grown a lot since then. And then what is one that you're like, if you want to check out my body of work, go check that out?
I will say this. I will leave it up to the audience and the viewer. If they want to go back and listen to old episodes of Wrestle Rap, and if there's something that you don't like within my critique or analyzation of the sport, you let me know. If there's something that you like in my later work that I bigged up, you let me know. And then we can have the discussion about what we like about pro wrestling and what we don't like.
Fair enough. So as we wrap this up, I want to give you the floor to promote away. So where can the good people find you?
All right. So Twitter and Instagram at Emilio Sparks, EMILIOSPARKS. Follow me. I'm so close to 10,000 on Instagram. Let's get that to going. I need the swipe up feature for all the stuff that I do. About at 8,000. So help your boy out. WrestleRap.com. You can download the podcast. We drop weekly. Big shout outs to my co-host and my brethren, the Mighty Vin. Just get that wherever you stream podcasts. We're on everything. You can download the sessions with Renee Paquette everywhere. You can download and go to her YouTube channel. You can download,
which is just Renee Paquette, correct?
Yep. What happened? Tell me, I didn't hear you.
Her YouTube channel is just Renee Paquette.
Just type in Renee Paquette, it comes up. It's either Renee Paquette or Renee Paquette TV. Just do the Googles. Talking shop as well. We're on social media. We have a podcast everywhere. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Patreon. The vlog comes out every week. It's one of my favorite things to help them cook up. So big shout outs to my guys, Mike and Steve, that helped me do the video portions of the Talking Shop vlog. I also do a cool fitness and entrepreneurial podcast with host Michael Chernow. That's called Creatures of Habit. So if you're into working out, you're into business and just overall improving yourself, it's Creatures with a K. And you can find that anywhere you stream podcasts as well.
It's well worth doing, guys. So if you guys like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish. Follow bodyslam.net to find my show with Cassidy Haynes, the Wrestle Watch podcast. Follow TTR Clips to see clips of my big interviews, and follow me on Twitter at Tom Talks Rubbish, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube to help the channel grow. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.